Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 6. Anahto Pashanam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adhok Saye Lokasya Janato Vitvams Sakre Satvata Sammitam. Word for word translation. Anahta, things which are superfluous. Upashanam, mitigation. Sakshat, directly. Bhakti Yogam, the linking process of devotional service. Adoksaye, unto the transcendence. Lokasya, of the general mass of man. Ajnanata, those who are unaware of. Vidvan, the supremely learned. Chakre, compiled. Sattvata, in relation with the supreme truth. Samhitam, Vedic literature. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. So the material miseries of the living entity which are superfluous to him can be mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to the supreme truth. Purport. Srila Vyasadeva saw the all-perfect personality of Godhead. This statement suggests that the complete unit of the personality of Godhead includes his part and parcels also. He saw, therefore, his different energies, namely the internal energy, the marginal energy, and the external energy. He also saw his different plenary portions and parts of the plenary portions, namely his different incarnations also, and he specifically observed the unwanted miseries of the conditioned souls, namely the process and he specifically observed the unwanted miseries of the conditioned souls who are bewildered by the external energy. And at last he saw the remedial measure for the conditioned souls, namely the process of devotional service. It is a great transcendental science and begins with the process of hearing and chanting, the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. But even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for development of transcendental knowledge. Rather, knowledge is dependent on devotional service for the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. I read the verse again. Anahto pasnam sakshat bhakti yogam adhok saye lokasya jan nato vitvams sakre sattvata samhitam. The material miseries of a living entity which are superfluous to him can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled his Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Omajana Tivandasyan Sanansala Shlakan Sakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sigovena Namo Vishnu Padai Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Naman Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachani Desataya. So in this verse, Srila Vyasa Devi is described here as Vidvan. Vidvan, the supreme learned. The Vidvan, the supreme learned. What does it mean, the supreme? Who is learned? Who is Vidvan? One is Vidvan who possesses knowledge of the absolute truth. But how to get that knowledge? But in the beginning of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada writes that Srila Vyasadeva actually saw the absolute truth, perceived it. He was a tattva darshi. We know that Krishna recommends tatvinipana partner pariprasna severe protection today. Jnanas tattva darshina. Tattva darshina. Krishna says we should approach those who are tattva darshina, and learn from them the absolute truth because they have seen it, and render service to them with humility. It means that those who inquire in a challenging way will not have access to the absolute truth. This excludes all the entire academic world. Nobody there can get access to the absolute truth. That's not the way. That's a challenging method. And it's full of pride because one tries to get knowledge on one's own strength. It's called the ascending process. But on our own strength, we cannot know the absolute truth. Not possible. Not. But if one just repeats the words of the Tattva Darshina, those who have seen the truth, and repeat their words, one is as good as the Tattva Darshina. It's the same knowledge. That also in the Bhagavatam, these Tattva Darshinas are mentioned. We have heard that in the second chapter of this canto. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam jnanam advayam. Prameti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sapyate. The learned Vedantists have concluded that the absolute truth exists of three features. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So that's the conclusion of the Tattva Darshinas. But we can see with knowledge, spiritual knowledge in this world, through the scriptures, to these words of the Tattva Darshina. That's called Shastra section. And how do we get this knowledge? How can we realize this knowledge? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yata mam pabachante tans tataiva bhajan. As they surrender to me, Krishna says, I reveal myself. So knowledge starts with understanding Nitya, Nityananam, Cetana, Cetananam, Eko Bhauyam Vidadati Kamam. Nitya, Nityananam. Krishna, or the Absolute Truth, is the eternal of among all other eternals, the supreme eternal among all other eternals. Shetasya Shetananam. And he is controlling and maintaining all the others. Eko Bhavayam Vidadati Kama. And he is the one supreme who is controlling the others and who is fulfilling all their desires. Even in the material energy. In the material energy, it's described that Svetasvatara Upanishad, in the tree are two birds. One is eating the bird, eating the fruit, and the other is observing and permitting. So, this Paramatma is in our heart, and is permitting us to enjoy according to what we deserve. So, he's controlling all the others. And in external energy, it means we have forgotten our own position. We have forgotten that we are eternal souls. We have forgotten that we are part and parcel of Krishna. So what mistakes should we avoid making? The mistake that we are independent of the Supreme Person. That most people think, I have my plans and I can independently reach my plans. But most of plans are not taking place. Is a parameter that we plan only happiness, but you get also distress. So we are not independent. And we cannot become one with Krishna. These are great mistakes. And therefore Srila Vyasadeva is giving us the required information in Srimad Bhagavatam. Like it's Lord Chaitanya said, Shiversva Paroi Krishna Nitya Das. Our Svarupa, eternal identity of the Jiva is Nitya, eternal Krishna Das, servant of Krishna, an eternal servant of Krishna. And if we know that, what do? We start serving Krishna. And that's our choice. We can say, I don't want to serve Krishna. Then you serve Krishna. You still serve Krishna, but through the material energy. But because that's what we are. Servant. So we have desire not to serve Krishna willingly. That's why we are here. And we want to enjoy independently. From the moment you desire that, to enjoy independently from Krishna, Maya is capturing you. Is capturing you immediately. And what happens? Maya trapati atar. Maya puts us in a forgetful state. We forget Krishna. And we think ourselves we enjoy it. Although we forget Krishna, that Krishna never forgets us. He enters in this world in different incarnations to teach us. And I sense different incarnations. He provides the Vedic literature to give us a reminder of our original position. So, because that love for Krishna is eternally in our heart. It's there, it's now covered over. That Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Sudite Karaya Udoy. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. So this love for Krishna is eternally there in the heart. Eternally it's in our heart. That but it's covered over. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said this Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. No, it is in our soul. It is in our heart. This love for Krishna is there. But now we project this love for Krishna through the material energy. It's misdirected. From Krishna, it's going to the object of sense gratification. That Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. Sadhya Gabu Noi. It does not have to be developed by any process. It's there. It has to be uncovered. It's not really there. And what's the process to uncover it? Shravanadi Sudate Karya Uday. It has to be uncovered by hearing and chanting. So then, the dormant love that is in the heart becomes revealed. But Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentioned here, go to the purport, he says, it is, it does not depend here on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. So, to remove this covering and to realize this love, it's not in our power. It solely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. It's not up to us or due to our power or our abilities. Therefore, we need always to pray for mercy of the Lord. That the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is a prayer to get that mercy. That's please engage me in your loving devotion service. Because this knowledge, this realization, that we are an eternal servant of the Lord, that realization is dependent on devotional service. So devotional service is needed for realization of the absolute truth, Srila Prabhupada says. That Bhakti Amama Vijanati Yavya Satmi Sasmi Tatvata. Only by devotional service can I be known. And unless we know Krishna, we cannot know our position as a servant. And we cannot know our relationship. So the purpose of devotional service is to do everything for the pleasure of the Lord. Anyabhidastasya Munkyan Kamatanabtam Anukulina Krishna Sivanam Bhaktam. So we do everything with the intention to please the Lord, without any ulterior motivation. But even if we chant mechanically, what does it mean mechanically? Devotional service. There is service, but the devotion is there. Only the external is there, and the mind is busy with something else than Krishna consciousness. That's mechanical. The lips are moving, we chant, we hear even the chanting, but the mind is busy with something else. And mostly it's like that. That's mechanical chanting. But even that mechanical chanting will mitigate the greatest distress and makes your life auspicious. As in the club devotion, these two qualities come up on the platform of sadhana bhakti. That because mitigation of all distress, that takes place because you are not engaging anymore in sinful activities. Your life becomes auspicious. You try to reconnect with Krishna to get His mercy. That just that attempt removes the greatest misery of your life. But to get realizations, to get this, to come to this anartha nivritti, the purification of the heart. Purification of the heart means the removal of our material desires. And that will only take place when we must first become steady in our devotional service. That without steadiness, we cannot attain that. Steadiness means we have to chant our rounds, follow the principles, and hearing and chanting the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, have a good sadhana, every day the same number, steady. In the beginning is anishtita vajna kriya, it's unsteady, but after some time it becomes steady. Nishtita vajna kriya. But that's not sufficient to get into anartha nivritti. What is required to come to anartha nivritti is giving up offenses. The 10 offenses against the holy name, because these 10 offenses is an indicator of disrespect toward Krishna, disrespect toward His holy name, disrespect toward the spiritual master, disrespect toward the devotees. That's a problem. We need to give that up. Therefore, we need to hear these 10 offenses every day. That when every year I'm going to Ujjain, and that was the instruction of Bhakti Charamaj. You in the morning after the worship of Tulsi, all the devotees recite together the 10 offenses. That to remind us. And then the heart will become cleansed. And this cleansing of the heart is the mercy of the Lord. Because then the Lord is pleased. We give up the wrong mentality. So it depends on pleasing the Lord. It doesn't depend on us. It depends on the mercy of the Lord. But you attract the mercy if you please Krishna and give up this mentality of false enjoyer that So these are very essential verses that so Srila Vyasadeva said here in the purport, he saw three things: the external, the internal, and the marginal potency. He saw the spiritual energy and all the Vaikuntha planets in it. He saw the material energy and all the material planets. And he saw the marginal energy, the jivas, the souls. And spirit souls can be connected with the internal energy or the external energy. And when they are conditioned, they are all under the external energy. So Krishna consciousness is to connect ourselves again with the spiritual energy. Because Krishna says, Aparyam vitistvamyam bhakti me vidimeparam. Know that the spirit souls are my higher spiritual energy. So, as higher energy, we should not try to exploit this lower energy. That's not appropriate. No, as higher energy, we should connect with the spiritual energy. And that's Krishna consciousness. By the chanting of the whole name, by the hearing, suddenly our consciousness becomes connected with Krishna. But this connection is manmana, thinking of Krishna always with love. And then when we come to that platform, our heart is pure. But we need the mercy of the Lord to come to that platform. But he saw that everyone, the conditioned soul, is undergoing unwanted miseries. That nobody wants misery, but it comes. And why? Because they are bewildered by the external energy. They identify with the body. The previous verses we heard. When we identify with the body and the mind, we suffer. When we identify with the soul and always engaged in thinking of Krishna and serving Krishna, we are connected with the spiritual energy. So we must come to that platform of always being connected. And then, yes, this body and the mind, so many things interact. and there comes so-called misery in the mind, but we don't identify with the mind, and we don't undergo them. But it's not so easy not to identify with the mind. We have to be pure-hearted. Give up your material desires, because it's lust that makes us connecting and identifying with this mind. And he saw the remedial measures for the conditioned souls, the process of devotional service. This devotional service is a process to get the mercy of the Lord. It starts with hearing and chanting the name, glory, and song. 9 forms of devotional service. It starts with that, but it ends also with that. A liberated soul does the same than the beginner. They do the same activity. That's our eternal activity. But they do it in a liberated consciousness. And then it becomes ecstatic. At once it becomes ecstatic. So it's a great transcendental science, beginning with hearing, chanting the holy name. It depends wholly on the causeless mercy of the Lord. This may be, we may become worried about that. It does depend on us, only on Krishna. That means I can chant for millions of lives. If Krishna says no, there is no, nothing. But Krishna reciprocates with his devotee, ye yatamam pajan, ye yatamam pavachante tamsate bhajamyam. As if we surrender to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates that. Sarvadam Pachamam Kamcham Pacham Transarapabhyam Moksha Mamachicha. Don't worry, Krishna says. You surrender, I will take care of all your reactions and get you through anartha. That. So this is the process of getting the mercy of the Lord. But it's according to our surrender. It is not, yeah, okay, Krishna, I will do that and that, but that later maybe. And then Krishna say, okay, that's good. I have time. Take your time. I have time. It depends on us. Katvanga Maharaj, he fought for the demigods. And the demigods against demons. And demigods were very pleased and said, we want to give you a benediction. Huh? Ask any benediction. But Katvanga Maharaj was quite intelligent and said, tell me first how long I have still to live. And the demigods consulted among each other and came back to King Katvanga and said, you have only a moment to live. And Katvanga Maharaj fixed his mind on Krishna and left his body. So he was not interested in the benedictions of the demigod. He fixed his mind on Krishna. He had this power. And he went back to Godhead. So it depends on us also. That we must do our part. Like Mother Yasoda, 2 fingers too short. 1 finger is our endeavor, and the other is the mercy of God. They are going together. But even with the prescribed hearing and chanting of there is advanced mitigation of superfluous and unwanted misery of material existence. It's interesting. Srila Prabhupada writes it also in the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport of 10.9, Machita Machita Prana Bodhi Antaspaspani Antasamamnitam Tushanti Sharananti. He writes, it is in the beginning of devotional service, one must derive satisfaction from the service itself. And in the advanced level, you get love of God at ecstasy. So, but that satisfaction you can have from in the beginning, even with a contaminated heart. But there's one condition. You must act in pure devotional service. It means only for the pleasure of Krishna. It means it means using all one's body, mind, words, and endeavors in the service of Krishna. Then one acts on the pure platform, and that will give you satisfaction. If you act and you want something in return, then that complete satisfaction will not be there. Will still be disturbed. Although it's helping that even if you are disturbed and you have mechanical chanting, better to do that than not chanting. It will help. No. And then when one performs this pure devotional service, and one avoids offenses, Krishna gives you realization. And that's real spiritual knowledge. And we depend on that realization to get that. So devotional knowledge is dependent on devotional service. Otherwise, we cannot understand Krishna, we cannot understand ourselves. So, any question, comment?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj, for the class. Maharaj, many times, if you can explain, Maharaj, about the anartha nivritti, when it really starts, like which step or which process, if we focus more on, which will help us to speed up the anartha nivritti.
Okay. To speed up anartha nivritti, it is required that we follow all the instructions of the spiritual master. That we offer our respects to all the devotees every day and feel, respect them from within the heart. And that we have faith in the chant of the holy name. That faith that the holy name is Krishna. The faith that this will bring me to the perfection. So not that is imagination. And chant the holy name, and not to be happy in this world. If you chant to be happy in this world, these are material desires. Chant to become a servant of Krishna and to please Krishna. Forget yourself in the chanting. Put Krishna on the forefront. Yes. And be sincere in your heart. I want to give up these attachments. So that is required. Then one will come to the point of Trinatapi Sunichana Taora Sunichana Amane Manadena Kirtanyata. Sodari. Then one becomes humble. Then one becomes humble. Give respect to all others, not asking respect for oneself. Tolerant. Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavadabashish Kami Mama Chamani Chamamishve Bhakta Bhakta Kitva. Then you don't desire wealth anymore. And you don't desire wealth anymore in this world. That you don't want relations with the opposite sex. You pray to Krishna, let me become a speck of dust at your lotus feet. I don't want liberation from birth and death. I just want to become your servant, life after life, even not desiring liberation. So that is the shortcut to anartha nivritti. Then you are going to give up these offenses. And then the heart is going to quickly become purified. But what is needed for that? You cannot do that on your own strength. You need association with those who are pure. Very important. Don't leave them. Always associate with pure devotees. My best experience in my devotion life was the 11 years that I was in Vrindavan, a few months every year, hearing the Bhagavatam in association of devotees, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, in the Holy Dham, in Vrindavan. That was a great experience. And then my many months of traveling with Pralananda Maharaj, this servant. And that helps. That's really the key. That's my personal experience. So that's it. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. And Maharaj, if you have time, just one follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
So Maharaj, one of the point you mentioned is becoming Pranadapi Sunichena and basically respect all the devotees. Many times in the position of management, whether knowingly or unknowingly, we may have to do some or take some steps or take some decisions where other devotees may not be happy. So in those situations, like even if we want to help them, we may not be able to do because of our challenges. We may not be able to make everyone happy. So they may think that we are not respecting them or we are not treating them as a Vaishnava. Then, how to balance that, Maharaj?
And that, so in this regard, the criteria is really, is Krishna pleased? You may have to correct someone, but your intention should be pure. And Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, explains that in his Vaishnava etiquette course. There are 3 conditions to correct someone. The first condition is the most important. Do I feel envious toward this person? If the answer is yes, don't do it. Then you will commit offense. The second point is, what's my motivation? Why am I doing that? The right motivation is, I should assist this devotee. I do it to assist this devotee in his devotional life, in his practice, or in his service. And the third consideration is, am I in a position to correct that person? Am I in a position? Position means I have an authority as temple president, is no position, or I'm much senior. We must see that we don't correct those who are senior to us. And sometimes that's needed. But then there are methods of correction. Guru Maharaj explains these methods. You should not speak to the senior directly, but to a god brother from him, who has a good relationship with him. And then ask him to speak with his god brother. But don't complain. Ask a question. This god brother, this person, this devotee is doing that, and he's senior to me, it's your god brother. Can you explain me why he's doing that? So it's an art to be learned. And if we don't apply the etiquette, there will be reactions. And that's the hard way to learn. So taking responsibility in this ISKCON movement into leadership, one must be advanced to take that. Otherwise, there are risks, of serious risks. Guru Maharaj, he was Charus, very sweet. And with his love, he could correct everyone. And everyone would accept it. But we don't have that charisma. You have to be careful. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj, for spending time. So, Maharaj, I wanted to ask, we would, if it is okay with you, then we would like to hear from you, at least for a few minutes, on July 3rd, when we will be having a program here. So, Maharaj, on July 3rd, what time would be better for you? You would be back in Europe, Maharaj?
No, I'm here in Mayapur.
No, July 3rd, Maharaj?
July 3rd, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason why I'm here. To be here on
Okay.
July 3rd. And I have the program here. And it's finished at 6:25 p.m. So it is now here, 5:07. So take 2 hours more. It's 7 p.m. 7 p.m. would be possible. Would be at your time.
Around 9:30 our time, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, how long we should keep? You would like to speak for how long, Maharaj?
It depends on you, but not longer than 8 o'clock here, so maximum 1 hour.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, actually, we would be expecting, Maharaj, by Guru Maharaj Mercy, that day we are hoping in the morning session, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj would be there. He will be personally present here.
Yeah.
And then His Holiness Jayadetta Maharaj and His Holiness Chandramouli Maharaj will be personally present here. So morning program will start, and we wanted to. I'm sorry, Maharaj. Yeah, we wanted to like that is the actual day when we would hear all your offerings to Guru Maharaj